Welcome to the Kevin Dunn Show, and we are so excited that you've taken time out to join us. Have another very interesting topic today. We're going to be talking about sleeping disorders. I don't know if you're able to get a good night's rest. I know sometimes I'm not, but we're going to find out some causes and effect of why people can't get good night's rest of sleep. We have Renae Davis here, who is the director of the Sleep Center. When we come back from the commercial break, we're going to be talking with Renae and what can we do to actually, get a good night's rest.
At Charter Bank, you get totally free checking with online statements. You betcha. Free mobile banking, free online banking, free online bill pay, free debit card, even a new account gift. Free. At Charter Bank, we're here to wow you. And totally free checking is just the beginning. Come see us or open online at charterbank.net. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We interrupt our regular scheduled programming for breaking news. We are outside of a local restaurant here where people are trying to get their way in. Miss, can you guys come here and tell us what's actually going on today?
Sure. I'm hungry. I'm trying to get in Mama Sherry's. I've been thinking about what I want all night and all day, so this is the best food in town. And so I and everyone else is trying to get in.
And what about you?
Trying to get in Mama Sherry's to get something to eat.
Well, there you have it. They're trying to get into Mama Sherry's to get something to eat. At Mama Sherry's, they want you to feel the love and warmth as they offer all of the favorite foods your mom and grandmother served you growing up. In this day and time, good food consisting of fresh meat and vegetables are hard to come by for a reasonable price. Mama Sherry's all-you-can-eat buffet has over 70 items that gives you and your family a variety where everyone will leave satisfied. They have the friendliest service on staff, just like the good old days you spent at Grandma's house. Come to Mama Sherry's, where the love and taste of great food go hand in hand. Welcome back to the Kevin Dunn Show, and we have Renae Davis, who is the director of the Sleep Center. How are you doing, Renae?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Okay. Did I get a good night's rest last night? I'm not sure. But anyway, Renae, 20 years ago, sleeping disorders were not really a common problem. Or was it a common problem and we didn't know about it?
Actually, it was a common problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the recent years that we've actually done studies and have found out how important sleep actually is,
mm-hmm.
and the different disorders that happen while you're sleeping,
mm-hmm.
And what they do to our health and overall.
Mm-hmm. So this was an issue.
Yes, it was a huge issue. I don't know about you or anybody else, but I know that as I was growing up, my
mm-hmm.
grandfather
mm-hmm.
snored horrible. And I am sure that everybody out there can relate to that they knew somebody who snored.
Mm-hmm.
And now snoring's not exactly the definite sign of sleep apnea, but it is a good indication that you have sleep apnea, and sleep apnea is not a very good disorder to have.
It's not a good disorder to have.
No.
So why do you think this topic has gained so much attention over the last 5 years?
Well, it's only been since like 1985 that they developed a treatment for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so over the years, as we've learned how to treat this disorder,
mm-hmm.
They've also then kind of expanded the marketing and also the testing ability.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we are actually able to see, we can't see your dreams,
mm-hmm.
but we do know when you are dreaming,
mm-hmm.
and we do know what stage of sleep you're in, and
mm-hmm.
we know we have enough monitors that we can tell when you're moving,
mm-hmm.
Your muscle tension, and basically when you're dreaming, you're breathing,
mm-hmm.
your heart rate, and
mm-hmm.
everything that goes on. And it's very interesting how all of that works together,
mm-hmm.
and how sleep apnea affects all of it.
Wow. Renae, I'm going to ask you, how many hours does a person need of sleep per night, or does it depend on the individual?
It can depend on the individual, but generally speaking, you want to get on average 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night, and it needs to be consistent. A lot of times people will think, well, I only got 4 to 5 hours last night. That's okay. I'm gonna, I'll sleep in on the weekend. And yes, you can do that, but you are shorting yourself, because that hour that you're not getting is when you have your longest REM period, and REM is the stage of sleep that makes you feel very well, rested and alert the next day. So if you're shorting yourself of that, you're not going to feel good when you wake up, and you're just not going to have a good day.
That's so true. I've heard people say this, and I've said it too. I'm going to catch up on my sleep. Is that possible, to catch up on your sleep?
Well, in a way, yes. There's a thing called sleep debt, and it's kind of like borrowing money from a bank. When you don't get enough sleep at night, it's kind of like borrowing that from the bank, and you have to pay that back. And the trouble is that some people don't make regular payments. And so the loan sharks come after you, and you're going to end up sleeping when you don't want to, either when you're talking to somebody, or when you're driving, or when you're at work at your computer. You're going to take these little micro sleeps or naps when you really don't want to. So
wow, that's incredible. You just mentioned something very interesting. I know with me, and not that this happens all the time, but if I ever get sleepy while I'm driving, it never happens at night. It happens in the daytime. Are there any reasons why? And like I said, it doesn't happen a lot, but if it does happen to me, it's normally in the daytime for maybe about 5 minutes or so.
Right, and that's probably the dip. There's a circadian rhythm, or your internal clock, that regulates when you go to sleep and when you wake up. And it goes through a dip in mid-afternoon where everybody gets kind of sleepy. And so,
Okay.
in Latin countries, they still take a siesta in the middle of the day, and there's a reason for that.
All right. Now, with the studies, I'm asking you, this is funny too. Why, when we are sleepy, and you may do this because you study sleep, why don't we just pull on the side of the road and just calm down and try to rest for a second? Why do we continue driving?
That's a good question. Really, if you feel sleepy and you're driving, pulling off the side of the road in a safe place is actually very good. Take a brief power nap, as you might say, and if you can, and rest. Obviously, caffeine will help for the short term, but that should only work to get you someplace where you can rest safely.
Right.
It should not be for a long haul. I mean, if you're tired at the beginning of a long trip, maybe you need to go back to bed and sleep for a little while.
All right. Now, Renae, what are some reasons that we would probably find surprising why people are not able to sleep?
Probably sleep hygiene, and that may sound funny, but sleep hygiene is actually getting a good routine down when you go to bed. That is key to getting a good night's sleep. It kind of sets your brain up just to get to bed. And by that, you don't want to drink caffeine or alcohol before bed. Alcohol will actually cause arousals or awakenings during the night.
Oh, wow.
And as it breaks down, it's a chemical reaction. And you may not know that you're waking up. It just may keep you from going into the deeper sleep that you need, to feel good the next day. And something else that a lot of people don't know is a lot of the tablets, the computers, the blue screens, your phones, your iPads, and iPhones, they emit a blue light, and I know they're working on it to get it down, and they may have done some, but it actually kind of tricks your brain into thinking it's daytime and not nighttime. So you really want to refrain from all the electronics about an hour before you go to bed. So it's best to start a good routine, turn off all the electronics, brush your teeth, take a hot bath, hot shower, do whatever you need to do. You get into bed, you can read a little bit, not very long, and then go to sleep. Try to get into a good hour-long routine, To
wind down.
Wind down, yes. And if you do it often enough and make it a routine that you're doing the same thing over and over again, your brain just kind of says, oh, it's bedtime. and it just gets into that habit. So, and that's also a good thing for insomnia.
Interesting. Which leads me to my next question. I was going to ask you what are some reasons that people are not able to get a good night's rest, and you talked about electronics.
Right.
What are some other things that?
Exercising before bed. No.
Oh, yeah, I found out that the hard way.
Yeah, you have to give yourself, I think it's like an hour to an hour and a half prior to bedtime. And actually, it's better if you do it mid-afternoon or just, late afternoon. Don't do it in the evening. Because it gets your heart rate up, and again, it kind of makes your body think it's daytime, and,
Wow. Now, is there something considered sleeping too much? Because I know some people that have to take naps all the time, and I'm not going to give any names out. But anyway.
Well, let me say, if you're sleeping a good 6 to 8 hours a night, and you're still tired, and you're doing that regularly, then there may be an issue.
Maybe an issue.
Okay? You probably need to see a sleep doctor to have it evaluated. If you're sleeping that much and then you're still tired during the day, there is a disorder called narcolepsy, and we test for that at the sleep center and can figure out if you've got it. So,
I asked that because my kids sometimes normally joke with my wife about her sleeping habits. But, so that's why I asked that question. Now, what does sleeping and resting have in common?
Sleeping and resting. Well, resting is basically you're resting your body, you're resting your mind. Sleeping, however, is totally different. When you are sleeping at night, your circadian rhythm kicks in, and there's actually periods of time or stages of sleep where hormones are released, and they're only released during certain stages, like the growth hormone for muscle repair and rebuilding and just tissue repair in general happens in stage 3, and that happens in the beginning. And so that's that part of the circadian rhythm. And then as you get on into stage 2 and REM sleep, then you're talking about your thyroid hormones, your pancreas, things that affect your heart rate, your diabetes, your digestive system. So sleep does so much more than just have you rest. It's totally different. Totally different. And so much more important. The more studies they do, the more they find out that just getting good sleep can have so much of an effect on your overall health, your immune system, and just how your body works, that it's amazing, and they're coming out every day.
Coming out every day.
Yep.
Renae, why sometimes I can feel like I've got a good night's rest. I've slept 6, 7 hours, maybe 8, and you wake up in the morning and you feel just drugged. Why is that feeling prevalent?
That can happen for many different reasons. It could be that your alarm clock is going off when you're in the middle of REM sleep, and REM sleep, like I've said before, is that stage that's going to make you feel well rested and alert the next day. But it also may have something to do with sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is where your airway closes off at night, and it can do it it has to do it to be called an apnea for at least 10 seconds. That doesn't sound like long, but if a good exercise to try to kind of experience it when you're awake is if you exhale and hold your breath after exhaling for 10 seconds, that's what you're doing. And some people do that hundreds of times a night, and there are so many effects that has, because when your airway's closed off, your body's not getting the oxygen it needs, and when that happens, it triggers your brain. I'm not breathing, you need to do something. So it shoots out adrenaline and all kinds of other chemical stressors. It thickens your blood.
Let me interrupt you. We're going to have to pause and take a quick commercial break, and when we come back from the commercial break, we're going to find out what effects does the lack of quality sleep have a negative impact on. More Renae when we come back from the commercial break. What are you doing for lunch today?
Man, I don't know. I was thinking about some wings.
Well, I know where we are going. DJ's. DJ's has bone-in wings, hot or mild, lemon pepper, barbecue, and you gotta try the sweet and spicy.
And DJ's also has boneless wings.
They've got delicious fish and steak sandwiches.
And their salads are big enough to even fill me up.
and top it off with a fruit and ice frozen drink.
Man, I'm hungry.
We're headed to DJ's.
Life in the country is a conscious choice. And with that choice comes hard work, attention to detail, and investing in the right tools to keep your home or farm at its best. So why choose anything but the very best zero turns on the market today, Exmark? Known for their durability, precision cut, and time-saving performance, Exmarks are the preferred brand of mowing equipment for the landscape professional and people like you who take pride in their lawn. For special pricing incentives, visit exmark.com or your local dealer.
Welcome back to the Kevin Dunn Show, where we have special guest Renae Davis, who is director of the Sleep Center. And Renae was actually sharing with us. I asked her a question, and I had to interrupt her. Why do we feel so drugged in the morning after a good night's rest? So Renae, you can finish that statement there.
Yes, then that I was saying one of the reasons could be because you have sleep apnea. And sleep apnea is where you stop breathing at night. And when your oxygen level drops, it triggers your brain to kind of put out some adrenaline and some other chemical stressors. It'll thicken your blood, and which is a good reason why a lot of people have heart attacks at night in their sleep.
Oh.
And yes, and so when you're doing this, often people will have one after another, and it keeps you from getting the really deep sleep that you need, the REM sleep, the delta sleep. To one, repair your muscles, and then also to make, help you feel alert and well rested the next day. So if you're not getting those stages, you're not going to feel good, and you're going to feel drugged because you're just not getting the sleep that you need.
That's very interesting. I never thought about that. What can the lack of quality sleep have a negative impact on? The lack of quality sleep?
Lack of quality sleep, they have found that it is the same as sleep apnea as well, because sleep apnea keeps you from getting a quality sleep. But I mean, it can raise your blood pressure, it can increase your heart rate, it can affect your digestive system. They have found it linked to weight gain. They have found that it is actually linked to certain cancer growth. Because you're not getting the oxygen, you're not being able to repair your muscles at night because you're not getting that sleep. It affects your immune system. I'm trying to think, what else does it affect?
Wow.
Pretty much everything. Glaucoma. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, sleep apnea is something serious, isn't it?
It is. Well, if you think about it, sleep. How often we sleep? About a third of our lives.
Right. Okay.
And up until just recently, we really haven't thought about what we're doing in sleep and why do we sleep so much. And there's a reason for it.
3 sleeping disorders. I know you touched on sleep apnea. I know there's sleep deprivation, narcolepsy. Did I say that right?
Narcolepsy.
And you talk about sleep apnea. What is obstructive sleep apnea?
Obstructive sleep apnea is where whenever you're sleeping, typically your muscles in your tongue, your tonsils, and just your throat kind of relax whenever you're sleeping. And if you're thinking about when you're laying down, all of these will fall back and close off. It's actually it's a physical thing that happens that closes off your airway. And the treatment for it is CPAP. It's really very simple. It's a mask that you wear on your nose, and I know a lot of people are going to say that's not so simple. And it is a little difficult to wear, but the benefits far outweigh any discomfort or
Wow.
Yeah, nuisance that you think it may be. It can reduce your chance for stroke by 56%. I mean, high blood pressure. I mean, just by getting your sleep apnea treated. Yes, 40 to 60% of people with hypertension have sleep apnea.
That's very interesting, Renae.
It can also reduce your chance for heart attack. I think it's like 45%. They've done a study over a 10-year period, and it was amazing to me to see the chance, if you're diagnosed with sleep apnea, mild or severe, over a 10-year period, your chance of having a heart attack is about 45% higher than anybody else.
Wow, and that was one of my questions I had at the end of the interview. Can sleep disorders be fatal?
Yes.
And talking with you, they can be very fatal.
Very.
Give us some insight on sleep deprivation. What is sleep deprivation?
Sleep deprivation actually can be a treatment as much as it is a disorder, but sleep deprivation is usually a choice where you're just not getting enough sleep, and it's usually, you know, when you're not getting the 6 to 8 hours of sleep, and it can cause very similar effects as say sleep apnea or narcolepsy, because it's excessive daytime sleepiness is what you're looking at, which can increase your chance for car accidents, work accidents, all kinds of things, marital problems, mood disorders.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow, I'm just amazed at the information that you're sharing with me, because I never thought about, you know, sleep. I mean, we know sleep is serious, but sleep
very
is serious.
Yes.
You talk about narcolepsy just a little bit. Give us some insight on what narcolepsy is.
Narcolepsy, it's one of those things that a lot of people make fun of because, you know, you always see in the movies where somebody who has narcolepsy, you know, falls down and just falls out. And yes, that can happen, and yes, there are severe narcoleptics, but there are so many different ranges. You can have narcolepsy, and if you have a strong emotion, just get kind of weak in the knees. You don't necessarily have to just fall out and go to sleep. So there's varying degrees of it. And it's basically being excessively sleepy during the day. If you feel like you just have got to take a nap, it could be one of many sleep disorders, but narcolepsy is one of the ones that they're going to look at.
Now, if you're only sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night, and during the daytime you feel like you need to keep, now, so that's not considered just
That's
lack
not
of,
narcolepsy.
Okay, it's just lack of
That's lack of sleep.
lack
Yes.
of sleep. Okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
Sleep hygiene.
Sleep hygiene. Okay.
You need to get enough sleep.
You talked about snoring in the beginning, which is a sleeping disorder.
Yes.
What about grinding your teeth while you sleep? Is
Yes.
that considered a sleeping disorder?
It is. That is called bruxism. And that can, again, keep you from getting the good quality sleep that you need. It can also wear down your teeth, so it's not good to have. Your dentist typically will fit you with a mouth guard to help bruxism. They've actually found, and I know this keeps going back to sleep apnea, but they've actually found that a lot of people with bruxism have sleep apnea.
Wow, and I asked that question because I get, say it again,
Bruxism.
Okay, I have bruxism. My wife, I have that. She wakes me up sometimes,
Grinding your teeth.
and it really gets on her nerves, really bad. So that's a disorder.
It is. It
So I
is.
need to get that checked out.
Yeah. Often children will have
My
bruxism.
son does it as well.
Usually when they're teething or when
Okay,
they're
well, now
getting
he's
new
9,
teeth.
so he's
No.
not teething.
Right, no. But now if he's doing it now, you probably want to get that looked at, because you don't want him to wear down his teeth. I mean, he's young, so you don't want him to.
Wow. Okay, all these issues with sleeping. You're the director at the Sleep Center.
Yes.
What do you provide? What does your facility provide to help?
Well, we have 4 sleep physicians, Dr. Lusky, Dr. Dekich, Dr. Sharma, and Dr. Walkup, and they actually do clinical evaluations to find out what type of test you would need. They take a good history and look at everything, your medication, your history, and decide what kind of test you might need. We provide the sleep study, and so we've got 8 registered technicians, hopefully 3 more on the way, and they come in, the patient will come in at night, and we'll get them hooked up. All right, there's several leads, and a lot of people think, oh, I can't sleep with all that stuff on me. If you have a sleep disorder, you're not going to have any issue sleeping. Okay, I can guarantee that.
All right.
I have had several sleep studies done, and basically they put the leads on your head, and they all go back into a ponytail. So it's not like you got all these wires hanging off of you. You got 2 belts, you know, and a nasal cannula to monitor your breathing, and some leads on your legs for muscle movement and muscle tension, and a couple on your face. But basically they all come back and they get tied into a ponytail. You can get up and go to the bathroom at night. That is not an issue. So And then we actually monitor your brain waves, your breathing, your heart rate, your muscle tension, and of course your movements and different things like that during the night. And it all gets compiled into a study, and we look at that and determine if you have sleep apnea or any of the other 82 different
82?
different sleep disorders.
You mean to tell me that there are 82 sleeping
There
disorders?
are. Please don't make me name them all.
Okay, I won't do that. We're just about out of time, so that you're
Okay.
saved by the bell. Wow. What else is there available medically outside of pharmaceuticals? Or pharmaceuticals are an option?
Pharmaceuticals are an option, and the sleep doctor obviously would determine if you would need those. For sleep apnea, which is probably about 90 to 95% of what we see at the sleep center, CPAP is probably the most effective, non-invasive form of treatment. And like I said, that is where you have this little, it's basically a little blower. It just blows out air and helps physically keep that airway open. Non-pharmaceuticals, other than CPAP, they do have oral appliances, and our physicians know about the oral appliances and can refer if that's what you would decide, but they have to, they're really only good for mild to moderate cases. And again, I cannot stress, the most effective form of treatment for sleep apnea is CPAP.
CPAP.
But there are other things. There are also a lot of surgeries that you can have done.
Wow.
But that's really going
Wow.
to the extreme.
Renae, we're just about out of time. So much valuable information. Strongly recommend, if you're having issues with sleeping, that you get those issues checked out. Do you know the phone number right off the bat to the sleep center?
Well, we have two sleep centers. We have one in Lanier, and it's 334-756-1382. And we also have one in Opelika at EAMC, and it's 334-528-2404. And check us out on Facebook. We have it's Sleep Disorder Centers of EAMC.
Wow, Renae, we thank you so much for taking the time out to be a guest on the Kevin Dunn Show.
Thank you.
I know you've enlightened our audience. You definitely enlightened me. And just thank you so much for sharing with us. And remember, if there's a topic that you would like to see discussed on the Kevin Dunn Show, please email us at thekevindunshow@wjcntv.com. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.